and just give a quick sniff. And you get an impression from that. You don't have to keep sticking your nose in the glass and you drive yourself nuts.
Was I doing that?
And plus, you get desensitization because after you smell it 3 or 4 times, your nose gets tired and doesn't want to smell it anymore. So your olfactory equipment there. So just give it a quick sniff, and you sort of get an impression, and then you...
Salud.
And the one thing you can do, too, after it's in your mouth, to try to accentuate the flavors that are there, is you can also draw air over the wine while it's still on your tongue. It's sort of a little trick that we do when we're tasting wines in succession, because they get harder and harder to taste as you go along.
Okay, so I'm going to go around and pour some for some folks here. You want to take my glass? Okay. Start off over here.
You'll see some of us wine aficionados slurping a little bit and drawing that air over the wine, and we make that little noise.
Okay, tell me what you think.
Actually, I have a question.
Yeah.
Actually, 2 questions. How many different types of grapes are there used to make wines? And speaking of price ranges, is it basically, well, we're taught basically the more expensive the wine, the better. So over your years' experience, is that not true? I mean, a $5 wine can taste just as good as a $50 bottle of wine?
Yeah, I'll answer the second question first. It's sort of a mixed bag, because while it is sort of generally true that you can find higher quality as you go up the price ladder, because in some cases the rarity and the scarcity will create a situation where some of the wines really are better as the price range goes up, and some of those producers who are making those wines have, particularly in Europe, have hundreds of years of historical experience in doing this. But I also think that it's sort of a no-brainer. If you have a lot of money, you can obviously buy a lot of good wine. But for those of us who don't have a lot of money, I also say that if you learn wine basics pretty well, you can walk into almost any wine shop in the country and find a decent bottle of wine for under $10 every time. So that's part of my mission and what I do with the class. Your first question is a great question, because there are literally hundreds of different types of grapes that are used for commercial wine production. Now, what's fashionable isn't always what's the widest range that's available, because what's fashionable is about a half a dozen at any one time. But some of the great wines of the world are made from already a combination of 3, 4, 5 or more grapes anyway. But to answer your question most directly, there literally are hundreds of different types of grapes that are used to make wines around the world. And in any one wine region, there might be dozens. So that's why it's so fascinating. There's so many variations that are available with the different kinds of grapes.
Okay, for someone like me who knows nothing about wine, if I was to go into my local supermarket, is there certain brands just starting out that I should try first that are definitely going to be good, or just kind of pick and choose until I find what I like?
Yeah, well, the thing about it is that there are thousands of different wine labels out there, but I would say that it's the thing about a good wine store or a good wine section of a supermarket, because in some states, not in New York, but in some states you can buy wine in supermarkets, which, in California, you know, right? Yeah. So in a good store, your people can direct you very, very easily, because if the store is doing their job, they should be able to give you some nice hints. And actually, if you walk in a decent shop, they should have some literature available that'll give you some guidance too. But that's part of my mission in life, is to try to educate the retailers too. So I may have a second career in doing that part. But I guess I don't really have a specific answer for you, because there's just so many brands. So it would be too easy for me to name 1 or 2 brands and then sort of leave the whole rest of the wine world out,
So you're not a wine drinker, so what did you think of this particular wine?
Actually, I like this one the best so far. It's got a lot of flavor in.
Yeah.
The other one had flavor, but this one's a little bit more flavorful.
Yeah, this one's got a little bit more of a berry flavor to it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know I got to pour some more over here.
Pour some more, would you, John?
Okay.
And this one is made, as I said, it's from up in the Loire Valley of France, and it's made from Cabernet Franc grapes. Cabernet Franc also makes red wine in that region, and what they do when they make the rosé is they do one of, there are several different ways you can make a pink wine, a blush wine, or a pink wine. one of the things that they sometimes do is they crush grapes for red wine and draw the juice off before the wine is fermented on the grape skins, so not much color gets into it. The other thing that they'll do is actually ferment it for a short period of time before they remove the skins, and that will be the rosé wine that they finish fermenting. And you can also make a rosé by combining a white and a red wine, which is sometimes also done. But in this case, no. This wine was made by one of the first two methods that I spoke of.
Okay, and what did you think?
This has a little more flavor into it. It's good. I want to ask you a question. You have like a particular, are you choosy, or you have a favorite wine that you
Do
like?
I have favorites?
Yeah.
I have a lot of favorites. I like wines. I tend to like wines from the Mediterranean style because that's what my heritage is, you know, southern Italy. And I tend to like wines from southern France and southern Italy. I like the southern Rhone Valley wines a lot in France. Those are among my favorites, partially because I've had a chance to taste a lot of them there too. I like a pretty wide range of Italian wines. I like a lot of the New York Finger Lakes white wines. The Rieslings that are being made in the Finger Lakes are excellent. And I like red Zinfandel from California a lot. That's one of my favorites too.
I know we have someone here who is studying culinary arts, so she has to learn wine. And I know you took a wine class. You told me you tried this wine. What did you think?
I thought it was really nice. The flavor's not harsh. It's not
it's
bitter.
Soft, isn't
it's
it?
soft.
Yeah.
It's very nice. I like it a lot. And what I want to ask is, French wine labels are really hard for especially newcomers, people who don't know about wine. And what would you say to them to help them to pick out a good wine when they can't understand the wine label?
Yeah, I think to learn the wine geography of France, the basic 6 or 7 categories that are the most available are hard to argue with in terms of quality. So, Bordeaux, Burgundy, Rhone, Champagne, the main categories of France are if you start there, the more you taste and the more you experience, that'll lead you to some of the other ones. So I always tell people, start with the basics, the ones that are easily available, and go from there. And the other thing is that some of the wine reference books that are out there, they're not terribly expensive and they're quite good. Anything by Hugh Johnson, Jancis Robinson, Kevin Zraly, I just tell people, read and taste. Read the wine columns that are in the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and the Schenectady Gazette and anything you can pick up, any of the daily newspapers. Read their wine columns. They'll give you a lot of helpful hints on both what's fashionable and what's a good value. That's what those wine columnists are for, and most of them are doing their job in the papers that I pick up lately. Whereas in the years gone by, I don't think they were as helpful as they are now. I think they're starting to get more down to earth with the wine.
Are we going to try the third one?
Let's try the third one.
Okay, great. This one's a darker color wine, right?
This third one is made from 2 classic Spanish grapes, the Tempranillo, which is the base of all the great Rioja wines of Spain. And it's also made with what they call in Spain Garnacha or Grenache in France. They also call it Cananao in Sardinia in Italy. Okay, same grape. Actually, you got to do the rest of the pouring.
I got to do the pouring. Okay.
And
I think you guys are going to leave here drunk.
The Tempranillo is grown in a wide range of areas of Spain. It produces a very aromatic and fruity red wine. The Grenache produces a lot of natural grape sugar and gives a lot of body to the wine, and also has a pretty nice fruity taste to it as well.